Hello, and I would like to extend a very warm welcome to everyone who's watching us live and to everyone who is watching the recorded version of this, our annual peace service. It's good to have you here. I'd like to introduce you to our speakers for this service. First of all, I would like to introduce you to Minister David Bruton, who is the President of the Spiritualist National Union.
Hello, everybody.
And then I would like to introduce you to our other speakers as well, so you will meet them as we move through this service. You will meet Minister Marion Bishop, Minister Brian Gledhill, Julia Armand, OSNU, Kenneth Stevenson, Adam Berry, CSNU, Rachel Casson, CSNU, Wendy Lyon, DSNU, Joy Clark, Keith Parsons, and Nathan Poole. My name is Alf Hurst, and I'm the Communications Director of the Spiritualist National Union. And it's my great pleasure to be your chairperson for today. As always, we meet in the presence of God. So I will hand over to Minister David Bruton, who will open our service in prayer. David.
Prayer, ladies and gentlemen, can be a very powerful force of unity in our lives. We are all drawn together from different places with different experiences. But let us now find that sense of unity and purpose as we open the service that we will share together today in prayer. Father God, as we join together, we ask, as always, that your light and your blessing may illumine every single soul that is part of this service. We join with the intent of helping to create a greater awareness of peace in our world. A peace that extends beyond ourselves and reaches out to every continent, to every country, to every district, and to every person. That in that time of peace, we may find unity within ourselves, but also an awareness of the presence of you and the spirit world in our lives. Because it is through that power that we draw closer to you. And we find the means within our own individual pathways to express a greater reality and a greater love, both in our lives and the lives of the people that we come into contact with. We reach out today in love and in peace. And in doing so, we are aware that we do not stand alone. That your love enables that greater awareness, that greater purpose that transcends our doubts and our fears and draws us together as one. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, David. Many of you who are watching now will know that our peace service has become an annual event. It's 10 years ago now since we established a memorial at the National Memorial Arboretum, which is in Staffordshire. I was looking the other day at footage on this DVD from the very first peace service. And it's become customary for spiritualists from all around the country, all around the UK, and sometimes internationally, to congregate here in the first weekend of July. And we have our peace service and a peace walk, which moves through the grounds of the National Memorial Arboretum, through the beautiful wildflower meadow and up to our memorial, where our service continues. This year, we're unable to do that as we're in the midst of a pandemic. And looking back 10 years ago at that service, things have changed this year, but there are many things that have stayed the same, and that is the need for peace in this world, whether that's personal peace, peace within our communities and our society, and peace between nations. So today is a very special day, marking a decade of peace services and marking a point where we continue as a religion to advocate for peace. So it's great to have you all here. So I'll now hand over to Minister David Bruton, who will address you. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Alv, and thank you everyone for joining us. As Alv has already said, this is such a special day, and we had such wonderful plans to be able to congregate together and to celebrate the 10th anniversary. But then, as often happens in our lives, life steps in and things change, and we have to reform and reformulate our plans and our hopes. But I was reflecting in thinking about what I was going to address you with today, about that journey 10 years ago. Those of you that were involved at the time will recall that the whole concept of creating the memorial at the National Memorial Arboretum was born out of rejection, was born out of having a door closed to us. There had been a campaign within the spiritualist movement by many people to allow spiritualism to be represented at the National Service of Remembrance at the Cenotaph in Whitehall. We had literally made countless representations to a variety of government departments to ask if we too may be allowed to take part in this service of national remembrance. We were given a variety of reasons why we were not to be included. But I'm very proud to say that rather than becoming negative about the rejection, we took the decision to create something that was very positive, to overcome an obstacle that had been placed in our path. And I have no doubt, having been involved in that process, that the spirit world had a hand in what happened in that time. From the annual general meeting, where we reported to members that finally we had accepted, we would never be invited to be part of that service. We had decided to do something, to create something. And that was the memorial that is behind me now. As a spiritualist, I'm sure many of us place a great deal of store in synchronicity. It almost oils the wheels of our dreams and our hopes. And when we have that energy and that power with us, we can achieve great things. So from the conception, the dream of the idea, the agreement that we should do it, we moved then to the design process. Once we had a design and we'd given thought to how the monument would look, to the words that needed to be included, to the scope of the realization that we were celebrating spiritualists everywhere, that it was to extend beyond the boundary of the Spiritualist National Union and embrace and include everyone. We then commissioned a stonemason to take upon this work. The building began, the funding was raised, and the dedication took place 10 years ago today. And I have to be honest, having been involved in many projects for the SNU, I can never quite remember one that ran so smoothly. I think without doubt, we know that this was meant to be. And so we created a focus. And over a period of perhaps just over 10 or 11 months, everything was achieved. And it demonstrates to us that when we are able to work together, to have a shared cause, we can achieve so much. We've created the annual meeting. And if you walk round the Arboretum, which is without doubt a beautiful place to be, you will see various monuments and memorials which reflect and dedicate all aspects of humanity. Some of the memorials reflect upon great pain and hurt, others on great dedication and heroism. But what we wanted, and we were all very clear on this, was to create something that reflected peace, not war. Now we understand and accept those are two disparate states, and they are part of humanity. Even today, there are places in our world where humankind feel the need to fight, to oppose, to impose their will upon the will of others, to use force and armaments to gain the upper hand. And we felt that spiritualism had a very different message, a different intent, something that transcended that and moved us forward to a greater reality. And so we started our peace walk. From our service that was established in the early days in the marquee, we would proudly march for peace. And joined by a couple of hundred people and a piper, we have done that for the last 10 years, or 9 years in effect, marching out to our monument, to our memorial, to a place that is special for so many spiritualists. So from that point of rejection, we've moved on. We have taken the initiative. We have instigated change. And if you ever doubted that the spirit world were not part of that process, that they didn't see the bigger picture, we of course have experienced a couple of years ago, finally, not us going to the government and asking if we could be part, but the government coming to us and inviting us to take our rightful place. So within this experience that we have had and shared over the last 10 years, there has to be a deeper message. I have no doubt that spiritualism as a religion, as a movement, as a philosophy, as a way of life, as some term it, has changed. Doors are no longer being shut in our faces. They are being opened and we are being welcomed through them. We have something to contribute, not only to a narrow group of people, but rather to the world, to our communities, to our countries, to humanity. The spirit world recognized that when they created the phenomena in Hydesville in 1848. And as the custodians of our movement, our religion today, I'm sure that we all have the greatest and the best intent at heart. But we must also be aware that we don't always, whoever we are, whatever our role, see the whole picture. The last 3 months have wrought phenomenal change on the planet. And looking into the silence, the calm, the spirituality that we share, it almost seems that there are aspects of life that have been rebooted, restarted, refreshed, and renewed. And so many will look to us in the months and the years that lie ahead. And the message that spiritualism affords us, the message of eternal life, the message that peace is not just a word, but is something that we can be part of, something that we can instill in our own minds and in our own lives and in our own hearts, but also in the lives of other people. It's so easy to say, I can't change the world. I am but one soul in a sea of 7.5 billion souls. But if I hold peace truly in the very heart of my being, if I act with purpose and intent to create something better, then that energy and that power and that intent can be shared with many, many hundreds, if not thousands, if not millions of people. I suggest there is no religion in this world that has a blueprint, a perfect concept, because by our very nature, we are not perfect. Perfection is something that we steer towards, a pathway that we chart, that each and every one of us walk upon. But we each have a part of the picture. And if we trust in the guidance, support, and inspiration of the Spirit, there is nothing we cannot together achieve. So in your own life, next time someone says no, next time someone closes a door and you feel restricted or rejected, just remember that out of every experience in our life, there is the potential to create something stronger, better, deeper, more fulfilling. And through those aspects of life, to serve God, Spirit, and humanity as a whole.
Minister David Bruton, thank you for those words of great encouragement, and how wonderful it is just to look back just 10 years ago and to see the great progress that has been made in a relatively short space of time. And a time for us to look forward to with optimism and to feel encouraged by each other and the spirit world to move forward and create new and greater things. And as we do that, we will need that energy, that optimism, that sense of joy. And so now I'm going to play for you a piece of music. It's a new piece of music that's been created specially for today, and is the first time that it's been heard in public. So it's my pleasure to play to you A New Idea of Heaven, which is by Nick Weaver. And it's a song that encourages us all to think about what we need to do in order to attain peace.
Gathered here together, joined in celebration, voices raised in harmony with joy and jubilation. Community is embracing, humanity is whole, knowing we are all connected in body, mind, and soul. A new idea of heaven, a new idea of heaven. Life is just a spirit in a moment's separation. No one's ever quite alone in that hour of desperation. Death is not an enemy, just a transformation. New horizons will arise when we conquer confrontation. A new idea of heaven. A new idea of heaven. I am the cup, come fill me up till I overflow. A vessel for healing, a hand for receiving light from the soul. I am the cup, come fill me up till I overflow. A vessel for healing, a hand for receiving light from the soul. Let's fill this world with love. 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 Let's fill this world with love.
I hope you enjoyed that and felt uplifted by that music. So thank you to Nick Weaver for bringing us that song. So we now move on to another part of our service. And I'd like to introduce you to our next speakers, to Kenneth, to Adam, Rachel, Wendy, Joy, Keith, Julia, Nathan, and Marion. And this part of the service is called Voices of Peace. And we start by meeting Kenneth, who will begin with his reading.
Voice of Peace says, peace is not just the cessation of war. It is personal tranquility and mental calm. It creates a state of friendliness to replace strife, which brings joy and fulfillment in life. The application of mental direction of thought is used effectively for healing. So why not for peace within, self, and throughout the world? Use your spirit in action to make a difference. These words were said by Minister Judith Seaman and her inspirers, and place peace next to respect, healing, and evolution to form the teachings of Spirit in Action. I add my voice to the cause of peace.
The voice of peace says, there is a light in this world, a healing spirit more powerful than any darkness we may encounter. We sometimes lose sight of this force when there is suffering and too much pain. Then, suddenly, the spirit will emerge through the lives of ordinary people who hear a call and answer in extraordinary ways. These words were said by Richard Attenborough. I add my voice to the cause of peace.
Voice of peace says, peace comes from being able to contribute the best that we have and all that we are toward creating a world that supports everyone. But it is also securing the space for the others to contribute the best they have and all that they are. In case you are still wondering, no, it was not a wrong turn that brought you here. You do belong here, and there is a contribution uniquely yours that is needed. Welcome all, and good luck. These words were said by Afsat Abiola. I add my voice to the cause of peace.
A voice of peace says, if there is to be peace in the world, there must be peace in the nations. If there is to be peace in the nations, there must be peace in the cities. If there is to be peace in the cities, there must be peace between neighbours. If there is to be peace between neighbours, there must be peace in the home. If there is to be peace in the home, there must be peace in the heart. These words were said by Lei Chu. I add my voice to the cause of peace.
The voice of peace says, when I say it's you I like, I'm talking about that part of you that knows life is far more than anything you can ever see or hear or touch. That deep part of you that allows you to stand for those things without humankind cannot survive. Love that conquers hate. Peace that raises triumphant over war. And justice that proves more powerful than greed. These words were said by Fred Rogers. I add my voice to the cause of peace.
A voice of peace says, you cannot have peace without, while there is war within. How can there be cooperation when hatred, violence, enmity, greed and sloth are the expressions of too many people? Love is the fulfilling of the law. You must love one another because you recognize that every individual in your world is your spiritual brother or sister. And the whole human world is your spiritual brother or sister. And the whole human family consists of spiritual kith and kin. This is what the Great Spirit has done by implanting into every being a portion of its own divinity, so that the chain of the Spirit in which you are all links girdles the whole of your world. These words were said by Silver Birch. I add my voice to the cause of peace.
Voice of Peace says, history, despite its wrenching pain, cannot be unlived. But, if faced with courage, need not be lived again. Lift up your eyes upon the day breaking for you. Give birth again to the dream. Women, children, men, take it into the palms of your hands. Mold it into the shape of your most private need. Sculpt it into the image of your most public self. Lift up your hearts. Each new hour holds new chances for new beginnings. These words were said by Maya Angelou. I add my voice to the cause of peace.
A voice of peace says, because you are spirit, you survive death. And because you are spirit, you are alive today. The spirit within you, which causes you to live, is the same spirit that animates every member of every nation, of every race, and of every colour. Spirituality, the people of the world are one. Spiritualism reveals the spiritual oneness of all mankind. God has made us all members of one vast spiritual family. When that fact is understood and applied in human, national, and international life, war will be driven from the face of the earth. Man will have learned not to kill his spiritual brother. Properly understood, spiritualism will become one of the greatest forces for good in this world. When its truths have spread far and wide, and the majority of people accept its teachings and regulate their lives accordingly, a new era will dawn for humanity. These words were said by Maurice Barbanel. I add my voice to the cause of peace.
And finally, we move to Minister Marion Bishop. I'll just ask Marion to unmute her microphone and we will hear the final part of this. Just a few moments.
There you go.
Marion.
Yeah, thank you. A song of peace. Grant us thy peace, O God of peace and love, who dwellest in the shining worlds above. Grant us with thee forever to abide, where is no night or even falling eventide, till that day break and earth's dark shadows cease. O God of peace and love, grant us thy peace, thy peace, thy peace. These words can be sung by us all. Let us raise our voices to the cause of peace. Thank you.
Thank you to all our speakers there for bringing those inspiring words that help us to think about peace and how it is manifest in our lives in so many different ways. At this point in the service, when we meet, we approach the time when we reflect in silence. And today will be no different, and we will spend 2 minutes in silence, reflecting about the things that we've heard already and things yet to come. And to guide us through this part, I invite Minister David Bruton to lead us.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Remember them.
remember when you go onward to tell those that you see that they gave their tomorrows for our todays.
Thank you, David. Now, a part of the service that wasn't actually planned until yesterday, and it will come as a surprise to all our speakers here, but I'm hoping now that we'll be able to go over to talk to Minister Stephen Upton, who is at the National Memorial Arboretum. And so I'm going to ask Stephen if you're there. Could we?
Hello, Al. Can you see and hear me?
We can, yes. Go ahead, Stephen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yesterday, I was sat at home thinking about today being a very special day in the Spiritualist calendar. And I thought that I cannot allow this day to go by without there being at least one spiritualist stood here at our memorial. So I've gone better than that. There's two of us. This National Memorial has been designed to reflect the various attributes of mankind. Conflict is present in many aspects of life. However, the power of the Spirit transcends all conflict and instills within us the ability to aspire to a better tomorrow for the greater good of all people. The red-coloured stone denotes the strength of love and stability needed in body, mind, and spirit to cope with the many situations which are beyond our control. The lighter stonework symbolises the inner peace of mind, together with a clearer consideration and understanding of all mankind before putting destructive thoughts into action. The obelisk symbolises all mankind reaching out to God through their spirituality. This is placed in a circle, which is symbolic of eternal life, where there is no beginning and no end. The seven rays symbolise the power of spirit reaching out to all mankind, into which everyone may enter, and also to the merging of the two worlds of spirit and matter. As we enter the circle, we become aware of the words light, nature, truth, carved in the stone beneath our feet, which reflect that we're all motivated by the power of spirit as it touches the soul of every individual and every atom that forms the universe. The wall, while symbolizing protection, also denotes the boundaries of our knowledge and understanding. On both sides of the wall are carved in stone for time immemorial the 7 principles of SNU spiritualism. The gold lettering symbolizes eternal progress for all mankind, irrespective of colour, caste, or creed. Since 1871, these 7 principles have sustained spiritualists throughout the world, both in times of conflict as well as in peace. May they and this memorial stand for all time. Normally here on this day, the first Saturday in July each year, we place 3 wreaths at this memorial, and each individual also lays their flowers. However, today, I'm going to lay just a single poppy to symbolise what normally have been here, and in remembrance to us.
It seems that we have a little problem there because Stephen is joining us with his mobile phone. So we are at the mercy of the data signal, but we seem to have lost him. But however, I think it's amazing that he could join us. I'm just going to try one more time to see if he's still there.
Thank you, everyone, for joining me here at the National Memorial Arboretum and the Spiritualist Memorial. Thank you, Alf.
Thank you, Stephen. How amazing that even though all of us can't be there to meet physically, there is still a spiritualist there. And that link from year to year over this past decade has been maintained. What an amazing achievement for the spiritualist religion. So thank you to Minister Stephen Upton for that. We now move on to an important part of the service because it reminds us that spiritualism is a worldwide religion. And one of our branches, the Spiritualist National Union International SNUI, has members from over 40 countries around the world. So I'm now going to play you a piece that we recorded earlier this week. I invite you to listen to this piece, not just with your ears, but to listen beyond the words, because those words are in perhaps a different language to yours. But this is a skill that we all need as we aim for peace, to listen beyond the words, to listen to the person beyond the words and the energy behind them. So I'm going to play that now.
Grüß euch miteinander. Ich bin Iris Wüthrich und ich habe das Zertifikat von der Spiritualist National Union und bin sehr involviert bei der SNUI, wo die Online Spiritualist Community ist. Ich begrüße euch herzlich zu diesem wunderbaren Service. Dem Service, der vor allem am Frieden auf der Welt dient. Wenn wir allen Tieren, allen Menschen, wie wir selber gerne behandelt würden, dann ist das die Basis für ein friedvolles Miteinander. Wir schaffen eine wunderbare Basis und wir können so den göttlichen Funken, den wir in uns tragen, weitergeben. Und indem wir den weitergeben an jemand anderes, wird er nicht kleiner. Nein, wir geben ihn nicht weg, sondern er wird grösser. Er wird grösser in uns und er wird grösser in dem, was wir ihn weitergeben. Es ist wie ein Zündhölzchen. Wenn man das Zündhölzchen anzündet, dann wird die Flamme auch grösser. Und wenn das jedes nur ein bisschen macht, dann verbreitet sich der Frieden. Und er manifestiert sich in uns und rund um uns. Ich wünsche mir Frieden für euch, Frieden für alle Tiere, Frieden für alle, die euch lieb sind, Frieden für die Natur und Frieden ook voor mij.
Welkom vandaag bij deze belangrijke service die gaat over vrede. En vrede is een van de belangrijkste onderwerpen die wij hier op aarde kennen. Het spiritualisme kent de 7 principes en als er gesproken wordt over de power van de God Force en als er gesproken wordt over de spirit die in ons leeft, dan hebben we het ook altijd over vrede. En als er gesproken wordt over healing, dan hebben we het ook altijd over vrede. Dus eigenlijk is vrede, peace, een van de belangrijkste onderwerpen in het spiritualisme voor mij. Vrede op aarde is alleen maar mogelijk als er vrede is in jezelf. Want zolang jij nog in gevecht bent met je eigen demonen, met je eigen gedoe dat in je hoofd afspeelt, zolang jij nog niet weet dat jij een kind bent van God, dat de goddelijke energie in jou leeft en dat jij spirit bent, dat jij het recht hebt op healing en dat jij een onaantastbare spirit bent, dan zal er in jou ook nooit vrede zijn. Dus stap 1 voor wereldvrede is voor mij altijd de realisatie wie jij echt bent en wat jij echt bent. Jij bent de spirit en jij hebt recht op healing. Vrede is ook de brotherhood of God. Vrede betekent ook dat je naar anderen kan kijken en kan zeggen, ik zie dat jij op hetzelfde pad wandelt als ik, alleen jouw pad loopt misschien een beetje anders. En laat ik jou niet beoordelen. Laat ik niet kijken en oordelen naar jou wat jij fout doet, maar laat ik zeggen, wij lopen dit pad allemaal hand in hand hier op aarde. Samen zijn wij hier op aarde. En samen zullen wij aan onszelf werken, zullen wij elkaar zien en samen kunnen wij vrede veroorzaken. Dank je wel.
Buongiorno a tutti, siamo qui riuniti per questo service di pace che ci unisce davvero nel profondo. E noi sappiamo che la pace la può creare solamente ognuno di noi, sentendola interiormente, espandendola, portandola fuori. Se non iniziamo, se non inizieremo sentendo la pace e trasmettendola agli altri, come possiamo pretendere che il mondo sia in pace? E quindi ognuno di noi faccia la sua parte. E ho trovato una breve quota di Gandhi che secondo me esprime veramente tutto, e ve la leggo. Il giorno in cui il potere dell'amore supererà l'amore per il potere, il mondo potrà scoprire la pace. And I will say that in English. The day when the power of love will overcome the love for power, only then the world would be able to discover peace. Mahatma Gandhi.
And the voices that you heard there were from Iris Eva Woodrich of Switzerland, from Anneke de Gauw of the Netherlands, and Daniela Gervasoni of Italy. And I hope that demonstrated that if we all take time to listen beyond the words that are said, we can find the spirit behind those words and make a greater contact with each other, which ultimately will encourage peace to flourish in our world. We're almost at the end of our service now, and we've heard many words of inspiration. We've heard songs of inspiration, and I hope that the time that we spent together has reminded us that even in the most challenging of times, when we come together, we can create the most amazing energy of peace. And so I ask now for Minister Brian Gledhill, the President of the Spiritualist Lyceum Union, to close our time together in prayer.
Join me in prayer. Just a moment whilst we remember that the voice of peace speaks many tongues and in many ways. Father God, as we come to the close of our service, which is dedicated to peace, we remember all those who work so hard to build peace and love in the world. We thank you for the energy that we have found to enable us to work toward this state of being, and for the help of those in the world of spirit who have been beside us in this endeavor. We remember all the other years when we have walked past these memorials that fill the Arboretum, taking in the wonderful emotion that exists and the message that lives in that place to remind us all that peace is hard won. It does not come freely. We have to work to find the love that runs from the very soul of us, rising until it emerges in thy presence to make all men the same, with no distinction or division, a true brotherhood of man. Help us to go forward in our world, building that peace and love that will help to heal the planet and will enable us to live in peace, love, and harmony together. God, grant us your blessing of peace. Keep us safe for all time. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Brian, for such a poignant prayer. We're now at the end of our service, and I'm glad that we've been able to meet in this way. Despite the pandemic, despite social isolation, despite the glitches that we find on the internet, we've created a time of peace, and we've maintained our yearly meeting for peace. So I would like to thank all our speakers today, Minister David Bruton, Minister Marion Bishop, Minister Brian Gledhill, Julia Armand, OSNU, Kenneth Stevenson, Adam Berry, CSNU, Rachel Casson, CSNU, Wendy Lyon, DSNU, Joy Clark, Keith Parsons, and Nathan Poole, and for the contributions from SNUI, from Iris Eva Wutherich, from Anneke de Gauw, and from Daniela Gervasoni. Wherever you are, I wish you peace. Please take the energy and words and ideas that you've encountered in this service and enact them and create greater peace in this world. God bless.